Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Boxeo Mexican-made boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Boxeo Mexican-made boxing gloves. I got mine in the blue colorway, 14 ounces and lace up. These are also available in Velcro as well as a hybrid closure, which is the combination of lace up as well as Velcro on the same glove. You can get this anywhere between 12 and 18 ounces as well as multiple different colorways. It's made of a full genuine cowhide leather throughout the entire glove and utilizes medium density latex foam over the knuckles. And of course these gloves are handmade in Mexico. Now, Boxeo is a brand that's been around for a while now. I just never had a chance to train with these gloves and do a review on them. So I got my pair from Edgar, the boxing collector, and these are essentially a custom made to order glove, meaning that they don't have these in inventory ready to ship out. You have to custom make these to your liking. So if you go to the boxing collector website and you click on this glove, there's going to be kind of the back story behind the gloves, some information on this model, and there's going to be a couple of drop down menus to choose from. So you can choose the colorway you want to go with, the size, the type of closure, and all of that, because this is a custom glove. And then of course there's going to be a wait time from the time you order the gloves to the time you receive them, because they have to manufacture the gloves. From a design standpoint, this is more of a compact, snug fitting glove, comparable to other 14 ounce Mexican gloves I've recently done a review on. So, you know, the Bayonetta gloves, the Boxeo TM de Torres Medina gloves. To me, this is more slim fitting, being a 14 ounce glove, comparing it to the other 14s. This is more slim fitting and more snug. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're looking at getting these gloves. We'll discuss that here in a second when I put my hand in the glove and kind of give you guys the description of how they feel. But from a design standpoint, you see it does have kind of that old school conical boxed off shape, tapered shape, where it's much more slim at the bottom of the wrist support and then kind of tapers open to the top of the glove. Kind of reminds me of the older generation Reyes gloves, where it kind of tapers open. Some of the Zeppel, Lopez gloves, Gill, some of those, even the Casanovas, which have an extremely wide hand pocket. It has kind of that shape, where some of the newer Mexican made gloves look more like the Grants, kind of more, a little bit more rounded out, more of a tucked in, larger thumb, and have a little bit more of that look. So this kind of has that more old school traditional tapered look, slimmer on the bottom, kind of wider up top. The blue leather on here is very nice. It does have kind of a satin finish with a little bit of a texture on it. It does have a good strong leather smell, and I believe they probably put some type of waterproof repellent over the leather. Coming down to the wrist support, it is a square wrist support at the very bottom right here. It does say Boxeo. It's a very simplistic glove, very classic looking. I know a lot of people will like that, but basically made in Mexico with Boxeo cloth patch, nothing too crazy there. Like a lot of Mexican brands, the vast majority, they actually label the wrist support label upside down, at least for us. So basically when you rotate the glove and the hand compartment is facing downwards, that's where you actually see the label. But when you're looking at it like this, a lot of other companies, gloves that are made in Pakistan, the label is flipped the other way. It's just something that you notice. You do have the 14 ounce weight tag right here at the bottom. You also have the black piping on here. The black piping, again, is also kind of unique in the fact they don't use leather or that rolled material. It's almost like feels like a piece of nylon for the piping at the very bottom right there. You do have a smooth satin liner on the inside, so you can see that. You also have long, flat black laces with plastic tips at the end. Wrist support wise, you're looking at about an inch of medium density foam on both the back of the wrist as well as on the inside. And you can see the foam comes up to right about here and is stitched off. You also have the foam on this side, and you can see the stitching goes across to end that. I feel like, to be honest with you, from a quality standpoint, which I was going to touch on here in a minute, I feel like this foam should have went all the way up higher, because that creates this really bending point right here in the middle of the gloves, and it feels really floppy on the middle. So I'm not too sure why they ended it right here. Could have kept going with that. You have black piping on the inner thumb, and another unique feature with this glove, it does not have an attached thumb. So in terms of sparring with these gloves, you know, we would now recommend that just because if the thumb flares out, you can essentially poke your sparring partner in the eye. Although I'm sure that won't stop some people from using these gloves for sparring anyway. So something worth mentioning. You also will notice that there is no ventilated holes, and the thumb on here looks very short, right? And it does feel short here in a second. So it kind of has a short, stumpy style thumb on there. You do have a large grip bar. The grip bar is large and very firm. It feels like they use like a piece of rubber hose, like some other companies do. And you have the stitching again on the inside above the grip bar that has like an additional stitching right there, which is kind of unique. You usually don't see like multiple lines of stitching between the upper portion of the grip bar and the portion right here where the finger compartment is. So it's kind of unique in terms of the stitch pattern they use, the detached thumb. Just kind of an oddball type glove, if you were to ask me. Quality wise, there's a lot of opportunity with this glove, and you know, with Mexican made gloves, I'm always so used to just the high craftsmanship. But this glove just feels like they rushed to make this glove and really didn't care, especially when it comes to the stitching. You'll notice just the stitching on this glove as well as the right glove. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Right there on the palm, you'll also notice that the stitching is kind of like angled at a diagonal shape with the glove. But the stitching on here is just super messy. Right there, you know, right there it's like they doubled over on certain spots, that outside edge. You can see just the material also, like it's almost like they use a different color thread, like pink and yellow right there. So it just looks like they just kind of went crazy right here in this section of the glove. And again, the stitching right there, it's like they stopped and had to start over, and it's just messy overall. Right in here on the inside where the thumb meets the index finger, kind of just pulling away at the leather. I'm not a big fan. Like again, they use more like this nylon type material for the piping. That kind of comes up rather than using that other leather type material. So there you go. Just show you guys the stitching on the hinge point. And of course, I mentioned this earlier in the video. It's just super floppy. You can see I grabbed the glove. I mean, the thing just flops down. It's such a top-heavy glove. And what's funny about this glove is that, like a lot of Mexican brands, it came in overweight. It's a 14-ounce glove, and it weighed in at about like 15.3 and 15.4. Or I think they're actually both at like 15.3 ounces. So the good news is both gloves weigh the same. The bad news is they're about an ounce and a half overweight, which is crazy because, again, the weight distribution of this foam, I mean, it looks short. Like, why wouldn't you just keep going and go higher up? That way you don't, you know, you have more wrist support on this palm side. But to me, that's just a missed opportunity with the glove. But the thing that stands out the most is just going to be the stitching quality of this glove. And again, I feel like they just kind of rushed through it and kind of threw the glove together. And you can see here too where that piping is, and it kind of comes down. It just kind of slants downwards where it should be just completely even and across horizontally. Yeah, like this side is better, so you can see they've done a better job on that side. But on this side, it's crooked. So again, the liner feels good. I mean, there's no issues with the inside liner, but the stitching, the being off weight, and just being a top-heavy glove, I'm not a big fan of that. Leather is good, but everything else definitely needs some improvement with this glove. Comfort-wise, putting your hand into the glove, liner feels very comfortable. Wrist support feels good, so it feels locked in, except I wish there was more right here. The thumb definitely feels short and feels tight right here. And you can just see kind of how stumpy this thumb is for a 14-ounce glove. I'm not sure why they couldn't just extend it out a little bit more. The actual position of it being pushed in feels good. The piping is just too tight, so it's going to take time to loosen that up. And just the depth of it is too short. And even when I make a fist, you can see this upper portion right here of this foam butts up against this thumb and kind of pulls it down a little bit. So it's just not a big fan of the shortness and the stumpiness of the thumb. You can definitely feel the grip bar, so that's nice. I'd say that these gloves are semi-broken in, probably like 50%. So it's going to get time to soften up that latex to really be able to open and close your palm with relative ease. I'd say it's about 50% when you first get the gloves. The finger pocket definitely feels okay. You feel kind of like this rough inner liner. You don't have that same satin liner that's used in this portion of the glove. It feels very rough and rugged on the finger compartment, and some people do like that feel, but you can definitely feel the stitching protruding against your fingertips on the inside of the glove. The depth is good and the width is good, so it's not super wide like Casanova, the authentic Casanovas, where the pocket's huge and you have like kind of like this big void right around where your pinky and your ring finger is. So in terms of like the width of the hand compartment, the pocket size, it's really good. And again, to me, this is a more of a like a compact fitting glove. It's not something that's super wide that you have to feel like you have to put a bunch of hand wrap or gauze or any type of filler material in your hand wraps to really fill that in. I feel like these will butt up nicely against your hand on the inside. The material right here, the liner, feels kind of wrinkly on the inside hand compartment, but it shouldn't bother you too much if you have your hand wraps on. But it does have a little bit more of a rugged feel, but the thumb definitely can use an improvement, the tightness around here as well, and there's a little bit of a break-in period. Protection and performance, this to me is a glove because of the composition of the latex foam. It sits right in the middle. You can essentially use this glove for sparring if it had an attached thumb. I'm just strictly talking about the type of padding they use. Good for mid work, good for hitting the bag, just kind of a good all-purpose general use glove to hit with. So you get a good amount of pop because of that latex. That nice flat punch surface as well, to where you land on those two front knuckles. And a good amount of shock absorption. But that feels really satisfying when you land your punches with this glove, which to me is probably the best feature of this glove, is that satisfying landing feeling of the glove. Would be even more satisfying if they gave you a better thumb, so you're a little bit more comfortable when you're throwing your punches and landing your shots. But I'd say a good balanced glove in terms of the padding, good amount of shock absorption. Definitely like this style of latex foam they use in here because it's not too soft to where you can really push through it and you feel like you're getting a little bit too much going on with your knuckles, to where if you have maybe bruised knuckles or you have something that's a little irritated with your hands, you're gonna kind of shy away from using these gloves. I feel like they did a really good job on the type and density of latex they use for this particular model. Cost-wise, the last time I checked, these gloves were at $209 US, $210 on the Boxing Collector website. They may have updated it, but I think it was around $209 for these gloves. And unfortunately, with all the little quality issues, this is going to be a hard glove to recommend at that price point, especially considering just how many great gloves there are out there right now. To me, this is kind of like a low 100. Maybe the highest is 150 I would pay for these gloves, and that's just for the foam. But even then, that's a stretch because you have issues with the thumb, the stitching, the quality control with that. And you know, this is the kind of glove that has a lot of opportunity, but if they were to tighten it up, just do better quality with it, give it a better thumb, then you know, the asking price might be valid at that point. But at the current price that they're asking for this, you know, there's so many better options out there, from you know, Bayonetta, New Sporting. There's so many great brands out there that you can get from Mexico that offer a better product. You might have to pay a little bit more, but in the long term, it's definitely worth it. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Boxeo boxing gloves. I'll see you guys later. Peace.